Do you know what's the goal of a conflict in a relationship? I used to believe that the goal of a conflict is to resolve it by proving or at least convince my partner that I am right and she is wrong. How many of you would like to be proven wrong? I don't think there's a lot. And even if you win the conflict, you lose the connection in the relationship. So, how do we resolve conflict yet keep or deepen that connection in our relationship? Hi everyone, Leon here. Welcome back to my channel. The answer to my question earlier is to have one simple shift in your mindset. And that's to see the goal of a conflict not as one to win over or convince your partner that you are right, but to see the goal as one that serves to understand each other. This is the healthiest and most beneficial goal of a conflict. A research by Gottman Institute reveals that most conflicts in a relationship are not resolvable. Every person is different and unique and has their own set of problems to deal with. By choosing one person over the other, you are actually just choosing your set of problems to deal with. Time and again, we hear couples divorcing because of their problems and then remarrying only to find they have similar or new problems in the relationship. This does not just happen to married couples, but to unmarried couples as well. And the biggest misconception is that we think all our problems are solvable. Well, we can solve some of them, but not all. Research from Gottman Institute shows that when a couple gets into an argument on the one thing they always argue about, 69% of the time, it will not be resolved. So we have to be realistic here and not have the idea that a happy relationship does not have any conflicts at all, or that all conflicts can be resolved in a relationship. So here are 5 steps to help you manage conflict in your relationship. And remember, the goal is not to prove that you are right and your partner is wrong. The goal is to understand each other's reality. Both of you are right in your feelings and perception. But the important thing is to understand your partner's reality by seeing it through their eyes. Okay. One important thing to note about these 5 steps is that it is not to be used during the conflict when it's happening. It is to be used after the conflict to manage it from escalating. To manage the issue, we will first have to manage our own emotions. So take time to cool down and then get back to discuss about the conflict using these 5 steps. You and your partner will take turn to share your feelings during the conflict. Were you feeling angry, sad, rejected, lonely, unappreciated, or any other kinds of negative emotions that you are experiencing or feeling? Let them know how you feel and then move to step 2. Take turn to share with each other how each of you sees the situation during the conflict from your perspective. Now, don't be surprised that each of you has a very different reality seeing from each other's perspective, because the focus for both of you may be very different. And take note that this is also not the time to contest who remembers what happened during the conflict better. It is time to validate your partner's reality. And validating does not mean agreeing. It just means you're able to put yourself in your partner's position to experience and understand enough to say something like, from your point of view, it does make sense that you reacted in that way, or you have that need. I get it. Do you get it? It's also important not to tell your partner what they did or didn't do. Only share your feelings and perspective. It's not a blaming session. Use I statements instead of you statements. I feel, I heard, I thought, and so on. Using I statements will actually give the impression that it's from your perspectives. It may or may not be a fact. It may or may not be your partner's reality. In some cases where the discussion becomes worse, it could be due to a trigger. A trigger is usually a result from a long-time incident that occurred before the relationship, which had left an emotional scar that can get activated. Therefore, when you get triggered, there are things you need to do before you move on to the next step. First, you have to stop the discussion temporarily by letting your partner know that you are being triggered and you need time to find out the trigger. Then search your memory for a similar set of feelings that you had experienced in the past or in your childhood. Then share with your partner that story or incident so that they can understand why this had induced such a big reaction or trigger from you. If you are the partner, do express your empathy and understanding towards their situation, and do not trivialize their experience. This is highly effective. Research shows that by taking responsibility for even a small part of the conflict, it offers great opportunities for great repair. Were you too stressed at that time? Or were you being too defensive and not being a good listener? What can you take responsibility for in how you have contributed to the conflict? Make sure you talk about yourself only and not also blame your partner. Don't drag your partner into the water by saying that, oh yeah, I was being defensive, yes, I admit that, but you are also... This is where you discuss how both of you might do things differently moving forward with the newfound information that you have. What's one way you and your partner can make things better when this happens again? Come up with a plan together to minimize this incident from happening in the future. Remember, it's a myth that there are no conflicts at all in a happy relationship. Conflicts are inevitable in all kinds of relationships, but they present an opportunity for you to better understand your partner, to deepen your intimacy as you share and work through your differences. Check out this video I did where I share what you can do during a conflict to make it more constructive instead of destructive. So live and love passionately. Thank you.